All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Temecula Community Services Commission meeting. It is Monday, January 13th at 6 o'clock p.m., and I'm calling this meeting to order. First, we have our flag salute. That will be led tonight by Vice Chair Johan Hawks.
Please put a hand over your heart and rise, and let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hawks. Next, we have our swearing in of a new commissioner, Commissioner Lisselle DeGrave. And on behalf of all of your fellow commissioners, Lisselle, we welcome you and congratulations. So we'll let that proceed. Thank you. All right. Well, again, congratulations to Commissioner DeGrave. You are official. All right. Next, we have our roll call, which will be led by Commission Secretary Willa Augustine.
Thank you, Chair Kingsburg. Commissioner Castro?
Here.
Commissioner DeGrave? Here. Commissioner Sizemore?
Here.
Vice Chair Hawks?
Here.
Chairperson Kingsburg?
Present.
All present. Thank you.
Thank you, Willa. So we have a presentation tonight. I understand we are going to have a recognition of some of our contract instructors, and it's nice to see many of you in the audience tonight. Thank you for coming out on your Monday night. And we are going to have this presentation led by Tracy Masters, our Community Services Manager. Please come on up, Tracy, when you're ready, and your team.
I'm here with Cassandra Hargett, Community Services Supervisor, and also Lisa Linton, Community Services Coordinator. We are the classes team. We have the great pleasure of overseeing our citywide contract class program. I know you're all very familiar with the activity guide and all of the wonderful classes that we offer for our community. We offer over 5,000 classes a year for all ages and abilities. Those classes would not be possible without the incredible partnership that we share with our city instructors. It's truly their talent, expertise, training, and skills that they bring and their passion that make all of our classes as successful as they are. So with your support tonight, we're here to actually formally acknowledge their contribution and their years of service and teaching classes for the city of Temecula. So we're going to start first with our newest instructors. And that's going to be our golf pros from Temecula Creek Inn Golf Club. Steve and Matt. Come up, please.
Steve and Sam.
Oh, Steve and Sam. Sorry, Steve and Sam. Come on in. Bring up Sean. And Sean. Yes. As we call you guys all up, please stay up until we get you all up here. Thank you. Can you hand that over? Okay. And next we have our golf instructors from First Tee Inland Empire. They have 3 years teaching with the city. Matt Silver and John. With 3 years of teaching experience, we have Ken and Heidi Betts, our tennis instructors. And with 4 years of experience teaching with the city, we have Jamal Brown, our basketball instructor. And very popular pickleball. Brett Bucher, 5 years teaching with the city of Temecula. Michelle Medina teaches our Tiny Tot program. This is a preschool enrichment program. She's been teaching for 7 years. Jeff Waddleton, 7 years with the city, has been teaches a variety of classes: teen screenwriting, adult, creative writing, memoir writing, all the things. And then his lovely wife, Christy Waddleton, teaches yoga, fitness, aerobics, and she has been teaching with us for 10 years. Patty Roberts, she's been teaching with the city for 14 years, and she teaches reading comprehension for children. Celine Cousseau, she's our extraordinaire baking and cooking instructor, and she's been teaching for 15 years. Okay, Lorena Hancock, our ballet folklorico instructor, also 15 years. Julio Miranda, our karate instructor, has been teaching with us for 17 years. Angela Sturdivant, she teaches our etiquette classes and Little Miss Charm School, 19 years. Okay, these last three I have to just give some extra special recognition to, because these three instructors have been teaching with the city for over 25 years. The number of students that they have impacted in our community is in the thousands, and we're just really grateful for the long-standing partnership that we've had with them. So Eileen Manalili Davila, our Hawaiian Tahitian dance instructor, 25 years. And then we have Tony Morimarco, known in these parts as Bigfoot. He teaches anything art, all things art, for kids, teens, and adults. 25 years. Like that? Okay. Last but not least, Susan Miyamoto. She teaches children's music, and she has been teaching with the city for 26 years. So this is just us formally. We'd like to applaud all of you for your dedication in offering high-quality programs for our community. We truly appreciate all you do. Thank you to the commission for allowing us to be here tonight and all your continued support of our programs. Thank you. I think we're going to take some photos, so if the commission would like to come down, we can take some photos together.
And while we're doing that, I'd just like to point out the incredible breadth of topics you just heard, and this is just a fraction of our contract class program. And it's really, I would put our contract class program up against anybody in the state. What we offer is really unparalleled, and it's because of the dedication of these wonderful professionals who are willing to share their expertise with us, and Tracy and our team, and her team, who are willing to put in the time it takes to put together that beautiful brochure you see twice a year, and do all of the coordination that's involved in getting spaces for everyone to teach their class, making sure everyone's got the facility space they need, the time they need, and then marketing that to the community so that everybody knows we're actually doing it. So I just want to thank you all and say the city's community services programs would not be a fraction of what they are without all of you. Thank you.
To do each of them individually, each group.
So the 1 to 10 years, can we have you guys stand right over here, please? Or where would you like to? In the middle?
You want each individual or? Oh, okay. Each individual instructor? Yeah. Okay. We will start with Temecula Creek. We'll go right in front here with you guys. Do you want to be in it?
There it is. Oh, perfect.
First tee.
Right. You guys got a lot of.
Michelle.
It doesn't matter. Do I show it or just leave it? Yeah.
Thank you.
Come on. Where am I going? Right here? Which way am I facing? Right there. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Hi, hi. Come on, Susan. Or Patty. Thank you. Susan.
Come on, Susan. Come on down.
They're letting all the ladies go first. Oh, goodness, I gotta stand taller. Hi.
Hello. Is this when I complain now, or is it later?
Later.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are we moving on then, or was that you want a group photo, or since we're all here?
I think that would be lovely, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I
sure,
think-
we'd be happy to be in a group photo, wouldn't we,
Yes, and
folks?
Shauna would be happy to
Fellow commissioners?
organize everyone.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Come on, Ernie, you can do it.
Squeeze in, everybody. Here we go. That'll work.
Yes.
Should we put the commissioners in front?
Oh, they can go first. Walk with.
All right, guys.
Lorena, we were all just saying how much we like your top. It's very pretty.
Okay, we will move on then. Good to see all these folks come out tonight and be recognized. So that was very nice. So next on our agenda would be public comments. If we have any, Willa, are there public comments tonight?
We have no public comments this evening.
Okay, then we will move on from no public comments. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to the place on our agenda where we have division reports, and we have 2 division reports tonight. First off, I understand will be special events with Tracy Tominas, Community Supervisor 2, will be leading that. And good to see you in your old seat, Tracy, or close to your old seat at least.
I know, I was telling Willow I'm not used to sitting here. It's new for me.
Well,
But it's good to see you all.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So before we jump into the reports, I just wanted to remind the commission that we're trying something a little new this year. This is our first time doing it. So in the past, we've done the full commission report divided into 2 halves, and then 1 staff member would take each half. You've been emailed those reports, and now what we're doing instead is we're having each staff member who's presenting really just present on their division, which will give them a little more of an opportunity to kind of dive into what they are specialists at. And if there's any questions whatsoever that you have on the remainder of the report, feel free to bring those to the meeting, ask the questions, and we will answer those as best we can. If at the end of this meeting you all decide you really don't like this format, you want to go back, we can totally do it. But we just thought we would try this to just try something new and see how it works. So with that, I will hand it off to Tracy.
Thank you.
And Tracy, since we have a new commissioner, if you don't mind just giving a little bit about your background, that would be great. And Matt, you can do the same.
Okay, so Tracy Tominas, Community Services Supervisor 2 for the Special Events Division. I've been with the City of Temecula for coming up on 13 years, so always been in special events in some way or another, and then I finally stuck around. As some of you may recall, in about October, we had a little bit of a transition with the Special Events Division, so now our public art, including mural unveilings, the art nights, which will now be called Art Walk, and Sister City program now fall within the Special Events Division. So I have a few updates about that included in my slide. So I wanted to sign myself up for the January presentation since we had a busy holiday season, just give a little bit of a recap. So this past December, we had the annual Christmas tree lighting at the Duck Pond, and we had a great turnout with 500 attendees. The following day, we celebrated our 30th anniversary with our sister city of Dyson, Japan. So throughout that day, we had a few different activities, including the welcome breakfast, and also the friendship ceremony at what is now Dyson Park, as well as Nakayama Park. Then that Friday, we celebrated with Santa's Electric Light Parade, bringing in over 28,000 attendees. We had great weather this year, so we definitely had an increase in our crowd. And then on December 13th, we had the grand opening of Temecula on Ice, which you may have noticed. We wrapped up the ice skating season this Sunday, January 5th, so Mercedes Street is now open for through traffic. And then on New Year's Eve, we had a great turnout with 5,000 attendees throughout the event. So this year was our first time doing only the 9 o'clock countdown, which was very well received, followed by our first ever drone show. I know we had some commissioners in attendance who enjoyed the show, so I was very happy with how that turned out. And then for the mural project at Sam Hicks Monument Park, we had a repeat mural, which is the Welcome to Wonderland by Kai and Chloe Parker. That one has come down, and we will be scheduling a artist recognition for the next mural unveiling, which will be celebrating women in STEM, and that one will be up for the month of January and February. So we're calendaring a date for that one. We're looking at end of January, so just keep an eye out for that. As far as art gallery showcases, we've had our rotating galleries at the Merck featuring Kathy Stradley, at the Civic Center, Daphne Goronsky, at the Museum, Marilyn Gibson, and then at the Temecula Public Library, we had Kai Parker. So we'll continue to be scheduling those rotating art galleries, as well as the new revamped art nights, which will be called Art Walk. So our first official one for that will be in March. So for January and February, kind of for our winter months, we're planning just artist receptions at the Merck. So still recognizing those who have their gallery display at the Merck, but then we're planning for the months of March through October to do Art Walk, which will include the showcase at the lot on Main. And then for January, our next official event will be our Day of Service recognition. So that'll kick off on Monday, January 20th. That'll be our first day of accepting donations for our week-long donation drive, partnering with Community Mission of Hope, now Mission Hope. So that's a little bit of what we've had going on in December and then what's coming up in January. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt Dobbins. I'm a community services specialist too. I've been with the city since 2018 and in the sports division since 2021 as a 3/4 time employee, specifically in preparation for baseball and softball tournaments, as well as directing and facilitating adult sports leagues, which is softball, kickball, and basketball. I was recently promoted to a full-time position where I look forward to bringing growth and efficiency. My goals are to improve the sports division's communication with the community, as well as lifting the team around me to promote better programs and experiences for everyone. We did have another change in the division, not mentioned in the slides. For the last few months, a few months before that, we had some renovations going on at Birdsall Sports Park for the sports offices. We're officially moved in, and we could not be any happier. Okay, on to the recap. For our local recognized sports leagues, over the last 2 weeks, we've held tryouts in preparation for the upcoming season. Our recognized youth basketball league is already underway at the CRC. Our rental groups are at full capacity at the hockey rinks and the CRC. For our adult sports leagues, our summer-fall season for all sports ended in November, which gave us time to host our annual Holiday Bash tournament. On December 7th and 8th, we had 13 total teams, and it ran very smoothly. Registration for our upcoming season, the winter-spring adult leagues, excuse me, took place this last week. We had a total of 67 teams register for those, and we're looking forward to another good season. Throughout this season, we do have an employee that is taking some of my responsibilities. His name is Jarrett Carter. He just got promoted as well or reclassified to a 3/4 time He's going to be taking on some of those responsibilities at the softball and kickball leagues. As far as our sports tournaments, we had Empire Surf host our first soccer tournament of the year. It ran very smoothly, and we do have our first baseball tournament coming up at the end of this month on January 26th and 27th, and that's DC SoCal USSSA. And that concludes our report.
Okay, well, thank you to both of you. At this time, is it appropriate to give commissioners an opportunity to comment or ask questions on either of these reports and as well what we received via email?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay, thank you. New format, just wading my way through it, right? Okay. All right, so with that, we will go and ask Commissioner Sizemore if she would like to comment or ask a question.
All right. Thank you, Chair Kingsburg. New month, new process, so my questions are a little bit on the iPad, a little bit over here. So we'll put them all together. I will start with special events. I did have the pleasure of attending the Grape Drop. Awesome job, Tracy. I know you put a lot of time and effort into the drone show. Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed being down with the residents, watching it and hearing the oohs and the ahs, and that was really great. So thank you to you, and thank you to Councilmember Schwank and Mayor Pro Tem Alexander and subcommittee. They were very supportive of it, and thank you to all of council. I am pro drone. I would love to see us enlarge our use of the drone show, and maybe one day consider adding that to our 4th of July or replacing fireworks. I love the drones, so thank you for your effort on that. A question, Tracy. I've attended the Grape Drop several times in the past. It seemed like there was a lot more people. Is it my imagination, or was attendance higher this year?
Attendance was definitely higher this year. Yeah, it was kind of funny because even with my team, as we were setting up during the day, as it was early on, we're like, okay, there's not as many people. And then we went inside to check on things in the conference center. I came out, and all of a sudden it was like, there's standing room only. You can't even walk through. So yes, we definitely had a lot more attendance. I think a combination of the nice weather and the anticipation of the drone show definitely encouraged that. So it wasn't just your imagination.
No, it was great. And I did have, I was getting my hair done, and my hairstylist was talking with someone else about their New Year's plans, and they're like, well, we're going to go to the Grape Drop. Are you going to go to the 9 o'clock, or are you going to go to the midnight one? I'm like, there is only one. And at first they were like, nuh-uh. And I'm like, yeah, there's only one. And then they were like, cool, now I can go home and get in bed, and I'm not going to have to stay up till midnight. So I think that was well received too. So,
Yes, I agree.
So thank you, Tracy. Great
you.
job. And the crane, I was expecting decorations, but it was great. It wasn't hideous. I was expecting from last year's comments that it was going to be this hideous, ugly thing, and it wasn't. It was a crane. It was a happy crane.
Thank you.
But great job with that. I liked the way you had that set up. So thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank
great
you.
job. I do have some questions from the report. One is on contract classes. Can I ask that? Okay. I didn't notice gymnastics on there. I know in the past gymnastics always had a wait list. Am I not seeing gymnastics, or do we no longer have it?
Do you know offhand, Dawn? If not, we'll reach out to Tracy and find out. I know it's been
Okay.
enormously popular.
Yes.
I'm wondering if it might be a facility issue with the CRC availability, so that would be my guess, because it takes
Okay.
a pretty big space. But we'll ask Tracy to confirm.
Yeah, because it was always such a popular class, I was
very.
surprised not to see it listed on here, so that led me to ask a question. The senior and special needs hour in the gym, was this a new event? I don't recall seeing it in the past.
Sorry, we were chatting there about that. Dawn mentioned she thinks it actually may be that we lost our gymnastics instructor, so we're going to double check on that. What was
Okay.
your question about the senior center? I missed that.
The senior and special needs hour at the gym,
That's an ongoing program.
it's ongoing, okay. Upcoming events for Teen Zone, I had on here Teen Zone Business Sharks.
Yeah, so that one is actually led by Jeff Waddleton, who was here tonight
Okay.
as one of our contract class instructors. It basically helps teens develop their ideas, their entrepreneurial ideas,
Oh,
and kind of puts them through the paces of developing a business plan and developing a
Okay.
pitch and all of that. It's very interesting. It's very popular so far.
Okay, is that a one-time thing, or is that going to be like a weekly course?
If it's popular, I'm pretty sure we'll be continuing it.
Okay, all right, thank you. And in homeless outreach, I was reading the Flexible Family Assistance Shelter Program.
Yes, so that's a new funding stream. There's kind of a lot of context behind it, but essentially what happened was the city has noticed, particularly over the past 2 years, that we're seeing an uptick in families needing assistance for what we would generally call homelessness prevention or diversion. So prevention, somebody is on the brink of homelessness due to, like, a family member lost a job and they can't make rent. Diversion is they've very recently lost shelter, like within the past month. They found themselves homeless, they were evicted, whatever may have happened. And in either case, what we're trying to do is intervene and find a solution for them and connect them to services before they transition into the phase of homelessness that would be known as chronic homelessness, which
Okay.
tends to be where we really see significant impacts. Not that it's not all significant, obviously. So the city had a plan to look at a partnership with a local organization to possibly develop like a residence that we thought we'd be able to use for family shelters for a variety of reasons. It just ended up not being the right solution for us. So council decided to allocate $140,000 for this fiscal year to give our team in homeless outreach and prevention essentially the flexibility to respond to these situations when they come up. So just in the past few months, we've had at least 3 families that I know of with minor children in the Temecula Valley School District who have been what we would call literally homeless, meaning they're unsheltered. And in all 3 cases, we were able to connect them to like interim shelter pending getting them into stabilized shelter. So the Flexible Family Assistance Program can be used for the first month, last month, security deposit. It can be used for utilities. It's shocking, and something I wasn't really aware of before this was how many people fall behind on utility bills and end up getting really substantially behind and then are at risk of having their utilities turned off. So it can be used for any of those applications. We can do emergency shelter, we can do a first month, last month rent, we can do utilities. There's a number of criteria for someone to qualify. They do have to be a Temecula resident, and if somebody has minor children any children enrolled as students in a Temecula school, they automatically qualify. That's an automatic check the box, they're qualified. If they don't, there are a number of other ways they can establish that they have residency in the city of Temecula. And we have to have reasons to believe that this financial infusion will resolve this instance of homelessness. So, for example, we had a family come through, husband, wife, and several children. The wife suffered a stroke. They were actually traveling from the East Coast down to San Diego, and while they were here in Temecula, the wife suffered a stroke, ended up being hospitalized in the ICU for quite a long period of time. She's going to be in very intensive rehab for a number of months. The family had shelter with Jacob's House, but when the mother was downgraded from the ICU, so her condition actually improved, which is good, but the family no longer qualified for housing with Jacob's House. This family's life was completely upended. They were not planning on living in Temecula, but all of a sudden they find themselves in a situation where the mother cannot be moved and needs to be taken care of here. So the husband was able to find employment. So he's found employment, but they needed funding to cover that gap of getting into an apartment, where you're trying to pony up the cash essentially for that first month, last month. And that's an example of something the Flexible Family Assistance Funding has done. So that's kind of a lengthy answer, but I think it's a really important program. This is our first year doing it. We are tracking everything to the most minute detail, and our plan is to, actually tomorrow night at council, our homeless outreach manager, Lacey Sisler, will be giving a presentation kind of looking back at all of 2024 in homeless outreach. And then part of this is at the end of the fiscal year, we'll be able to really assess how many people did we help, what is the demand, what is the need, how does the city want to proceed, and at that point it will become a council decision to kind of determine, do they want to continue to allocate funds for this, do they want to look at other options, but that's the background on that. So it's complicated, but it's really good,
No,
and it's
thank you.
unfortunate that the need is there as much as it is, and it truly is in our community, which I think a lot of us, didn't maybe realize how bad the need was.
No,
So
thank you.
Hopefully that
That's-
answered your question.
No, that's kind of what I was assuming from reading this, how the program worked. And I think it's very proactive, and I'm happy to see that. Would it be possible, after you've created your reports that you give to council, where you report on, like a comparison on how this program works with past ones, and to also present that to us here?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. I just want to ask on the library, I just noticed this and I thought it was very I thought it was very interesting. Questions, 8,923 questions were asked in December.
I love that they track that.
I love that. I'm like, boy, I had some days raising my kids where I had 8,923 questions. I didn't notice on here report for the juvenile story time. Are they still doing that at the library?
Yes, they are.
The story time programs, okay. Do we have any attendance records for those?
I'm sure Ginger does. I'd have to
Okay.
dig those up unless anybody has
You know,
those
I'm
offhand.
actually going to be meeting with Ginger on Wednesday.
Oh, okay,
So
fantastic.
I'll ask her. I'll
Perfect.
ask her on that. I think that is all I have. Oh, the Young Women's Career Conference.
Yes.
We had mentioned in years past having a spring program for young men.
Yes, we are putting that together. I believe it's going to be in April.
In
I don't-
April?
April 17th. Perfect.
Okay.
So
And is that-
we're in the planning stages for that right now. We're just kind of putting together our list of, the mentors, the panelists, the topics,
Okay.
the questions, and all of that.
Is that going to go through TCSD or is that workforce development?
So workforce development is part of TCSD.
Okay.
They're under
Okay, that's
TCSD.
right.
So yeah, no, it will be through Charles's group. Workforce development is planning that.
Okay, all right, and I trust we'll get a report on that.
Absolutely.
I'd like to know what the reception is to that event.
Definitely. One of the things we need to coordinate is with the school district, because for the Young Women's Career Conference, they provide the transportation. And so that's one of the moving pieces, as well as making sure they can nail down the transportation and get everybody here.
Okay, thank you. Question on the public art that is now being under special events. Was there a reason why we moved that from, because it just made sense being cultural arts museum?
Yeah, it had to do with our staffing and just kind of
Okay.
changing up who was doing what. So when Willa became my assistant, and Isabel had been serving as my assistant, and then she had the background with the museum, we wanted to keep Sister City with her because she's been working
Okay.
on Sister City along. So it just kind of came down to sort of shuffling the pieces and seeing what made sense with people's specific areas of expertise. And then, as a side note, Isabel is married to Daniel, who works at the museum. So for a variety of reasons, just to kind of keep things clean, when we have married couples, we like to sort of keep their areas of
Hey,
reporting
I run a
separate.
business with my spouse. Don't need to say anything to me about that. I totally understand. Yeah. I'm just questioning, is Art Night, well, now it's Art Walk, do we have are we gonna be changing it?
I'm going to let
Making it
Tracy
different?
Tominas jump in on that.
I did notice a couple other cities in San Diego have something called Art Walk, and I was wondering if we're gonna expand it to.
Yes, so as you saw with New Year's Eve, we made some changes, made a refresh. So we're kind of going into 2025 with that mentality that some of our other events need a little bit of a refresh. You may see some more Park and Rec subcommittee meetings coming up in the future to discuss that. So Art Walk is part of that. So as Erica said, when we made the transition from bringing over some of the arts and culture events over to the special events team, we wanted to refresh things a little bit. So the name changes as part of our transition. So with that, it's also to just encourage people as they come to the event to just appreciate all the art within Old Town. So it'll be a chance to highlight the mural project, highlight the utility box, and kind of encourage people when they come out on their Friday night to just walk Old Town and appreciate that. And then in the future, if we're able to continue expanding that by just the simple name change, it allows us to change more of the event. So we're always open to your feedback and what you'd like to see. I know you're a frequent attendee of the Art Night event, so we welcome your feedback with all the commissioners and our council members.
And you will still be doing the gallery exhibits at the Merc each month, or is that going to
Yes,
change?
yes. So we'll still continue to use the Merc as one of our rotating galleries. So as I mentioned, with the winter months, since it's so cold and our attendance has been low in the past, during those months, we won't be utilizing the lot on Main, but we'll still be offering an artist reception for those whose artwork is featured in the Merc. And then from March through October, we'll continue doing that and also expanding with the artist showcase in the lot on Main.
Okay, now I know we had a street piano.
Yes,
Did
we.
that, I think I only saw it like once.
Yes,
Did it
was
come
that
and
something
go?
you enjoyed? I recall a street piano, but since it just wasn't during my time of overseeing the art events, I'm just curious on the feedback.
I remembered we had the piano, and it was great when people other than my children, my daughter,
Yes.
it was great when some people were playing it.
Okay.
So we had, it was a big deal. It was, I thought it was well received, and then it was gone, so I just wanted to.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into that to see if it's something we could bring back occasionally.
You don't have to look that hard, Tracy, we're okay.
Okay.
Just questioning what
I can
happened to the
speak to
piano.
that. That was a Marianne Edwards request specifically, and I know that Yuan played for us. It was a novelty, it was fun, it was a little bit of a high maintenance thing to bring
Okay.
out the piano and all that, and it didn't get all the use, and we really wanted to protect its integrity and not, get damaged or stolen or, so it's not something that we're planning on doing again,
Okay.
but if it were desired or required, we certainly could look into it.
Just questioning, it's okay, the piano can stay where it's at, we're good. All right, thank you.
So I did get clarification on the gymnastics instructor.
Okay.
So essentially, we had to close the program down when the CRC was closed for renovation last time. And then we were getting ready to reprogramming it, and then the CRC is getting closed again for renovation. So between those two things, there just wasn't a big enough window to really bring the program back and get it up and running. But it is definitely top of the list because it was extremely popular.
Yeah, that's what you had said, that it has a waiting list and
Yep.
that how popular it was. And so I was kind of surprised when I was looking through it this evening and not seeing gymnastics on there. So I was questioning if it was just an accidental omission or if for some reason we did away. Because I think we have had a few things that have been so extremely popular that it causes drama.
We have had a few programs that we no longer advertise in the brochure because they sell out within literal minutes of registration opening. And so we actually, advertising in the brochure is worse. So we have had a couple of programs we pulled back for that reason, but this is not one of them. This was more of like a logistics and finding the right instructor in the right space and the right timing and the CRC. It's just been a lot of moving parts.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sizemore. Commissioner Castro.
Thank you. Gary's not here, but thank you for letting us do the ride with the sister cities. That was, I thought, a great thing. Looking through the report, what's the status on the pools? Is everything working now?
Oh, yes, everything's working now. We had some closure on the MRC pool to repair some of the plaster. That's all good. The pools are up and running. We're fine now. And even the splash pad at the CRC, which had been kind of a lingering project, it's done, although we won't be officially opening it until the spring.
The MRC pool, that was an unplanned repair? Or
No,
that was a planned
no, the
repair?
damage had been there for a while, and we knew we had to take it down and fix it. It was a matter of waiting until the best window to get that done.
Okay. The other thing on the report, I saw that there was, I think, 3 long-term homeless people getting off the street. That's an incredible accomplishment, getting long-term people to agree to accept the help. So that I was really glad to see that.
Yeah, it's what we hope for every day, and one of the statistics that used to get bandied around in the homeless outreach community is that it took, I want to say they said like 17 touches or contacts on average with somebody who had been chronically homeless to get them to be ready to make change, accept help. I don't know that the number 17 holds any particular water, but I will tell you for some people it's months or even years of consistent contact with our staff and our contracted outreach provider. And then one day, sometimes you just never know what it is. We had one individual that we did a huge cleanup on private property off of Business Park Drive. It was just the biggest cleanup we've ever done. And the contract cleanup provider happened to share his story of becoming sober with one of the individuals who had been there, who had been chronically homeless for many, many, many years. And that conversation actually inspired that individual to enter treatment for his own addiction issues. So it was just like, I mean, just a remarkable coincidence and things coming together and right people, right place, and it was really fantastic.
Yeah, I was happy to see that in the
Yeah,
report.
thank you.
A question on the sports league. So there's not a city-run soccer league?
No, we don't have a city-run soccer league.
So I live in Somers Bend, and I'm always walking by the sports park. So the soccer fields being used there, those are people contracting with the city to use the fields?
Yes, exactly.
Feel free to explain about, recognized youth leagues and rental groups. Just dive in as much as you'd like, Matt.
Okay. We do have a few rental groups that go out there. We have one specifically, I think it's the Temecula, it's just called Temecula Soccer League. Temecula Adult Soccer League. They run out of Birdsall though, and they run 3 or 4 times a week. So we do have a pretty extensive program for the adults.
So I see a lot of times I walk by and I see there's people running soccer lessons, like a coach with 3 kids. Are those people just going out and using the fields, or they actually have to reserve and contract to use the fields?
So essentially, if the field space is available, we do allow people to have a first come, first serve type of thing, but we do have rentals that do that as well in the evenings.
And then in lieu of the city operating its own youth soccer program, we have, not just for soccer, for several sports, we have a recognized youth league. So for soccer, that is Temecula TVSA, right, there we go. It was somewhere in the recesses there. So we have that for soccer, we have Little League, what am I forgetting? Pop Warner for football. Oh, that's right, we have 2 baseball leagues, right, and then basketball. So for those sports, we have recognized youth leagues, which is where they sort of enjoy say like a sort of a special status. They have to be nonprofits, they have to have over 200 participants. At least 80% of those participants have to be residents of the city of Temecula. There's a variety of parameters around it, but then those groups get use of the fields for the bulk of, I would say, the field availability time. And then separately we have rental groups, which could be anything from somebody who wants to have a kid's birthday party out there to, a competitive soccer league that wants to use field space.
So is it basically that the city looks at, is there somebody who can run it for you and you allow them to run like the Little League, or as opposed to the city stepping in and running a city league?
Yeah, so we have a policy around the recognized youth leagues and what it takes to become recognized, and all of those youth leagues have been in place for many, many, many years. Yeah. And really what it would take for the city in terms of resources to staff a program that large with hundreds of participants would be overwhelming. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for the reports. Those are great. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Castro. Appreciate it. Commissioner DeGrave, would you like to ask a question or make comment?
Sure. I was able to attend the Grape Drop with my daughter. It was, in all the years that I've lived in Temecula, I've never made it out there. So it was really, we just had a great time. I really enjoyed the drone show. It was very well branded. I felt the connection to Temecula, from the logo to the hot air balloons to the classic cars. So I just wanted to share my kudos on that. It was very well attended. I'm not surprised to hear that attendance was up this year, because we didn't know, being that we had not attended in the past, we didn't know where was the right place to stand, where do we get the best view of the drone show, we want to see the grapes, and so we just kept kind of, making our way through the people, and it really was a great Temecula event, very well attended. I do want to give my kudos to your team. I noticed in the report that you had noted that there was over a 53% increase in your museum attendance. I think that's something that really does need to be commended. I know that takes a lot of outreach on your part, and really getting people to know that the museum's there. I don't know if it was that Charlie Brown exhibit that you had, but I'm pretty bummed out that I didn't attend that. I unfortunately wasn't able to go, but it's something that I hope you can incorporate next year because it sounds like that really drew people in.
Is it still up till the 16th, or did it go down today?
It's down, but because we took pictures on Flickr, you can view it on our
Okay.
Flickr link.
Okay, wonderful. I did have a few questions on, I know Commissioner Sizemore mentioned the Business Shark program. Is that only available to TVUSD students, or can any students that are residents within the Temecula boundaries participate in that?
Any students. I believe it just requires a $1, you have to do a $1 membership for the Teen Zone. I think it's just $1 annually.
Okay.
Which is basically just a way of getting people to provide, information, emergency contacts, all the things we need. And that covers any activity in the Teen Zone, and it's open to any kids. It's no issue with the school district.
Okay, wonderful. And the other event I'm very excited about actually is the Young Men's Conference. I know a lot of times there are a lot of events that are just focused for women, and as a mother with a son, this really gets me excited, and it's something that I definitely want to encourage him to participate in because I think it's great that we're doing something to raise up the young men in our community as well. So I'm really excited to hear more about that. And that's all I have.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner DeGrave, appreciate it. Next, we have Vice Chair Hawks.
Thank you, and Tracy and Matt, for your report. Regarding the art walk, I just had a thought that maybe you can have a scavenger hunt or something, a map to hand out to the visitors for them to locate the art that should draw interest.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll definitely take that into consideration. Be a good use of our maps that we've also put together of all the local artwork.
And very impressive drone show. I missed it, but I saw the videos of it. I really love the logo and the goodbye 2024 and Happy New Year. And I was very impressed. That's a one-man show, is it?
So it was 3 people the day of, but yes, the main contact owner, he kind of runs the whole show. So he had put together the storyboard, the animation, and set up everything. And then the day of, he had 2 other team members. One was actually kind of helping do a lot of the recordings that took place in that drone footage video. But yes, essentially a 3-man team.
Okay. And how long is the show?
The show was 10 minutes.
Okay. And I was also thinking about maybe if that's popular, we can consider bringing it back for July 4th.
Yes, we definitely had a great response to the drone show, so we're looking into how we can utilize that for future events.
Okay, thank you. And speaking of the piano, I enjoy the piano, and I've also seen lots of videos just from other cities that they had a street piano, especially if it's a free piano, if we can somehow put it there, and if that'll be another attraction for Old Town, that might be something to consider for the future. And for Matt, I have a question about the Holiday Bash and the tournaments. Can you just go a little bit deeper with what's that involved? Is that Temecula hosting it and other teams coming here to play?
Yeah, it's a Temecula-hosted city-run tournament, and we had a co-ed and a men's division. Co-ed was on Sunday, men's was on Saturday. Generally, what we do is we put out feelers with the softball league, and then a lot of those people come and join our tournament. And it's just a one-day. We had six teams on Saturday and 7 on Sunday, and it's just double elimination all the way through. But did that answer your question, or did you have more specific?
Is that, what's the goal? Is that trying to bring collaboration between teams, or for Temecula to get more recognition?
I think the goal is to provide a little bit of an activity between seasons, for one, so they can continue to play, but also, I would say find new teams for our regular season and just provide programs for the community and the surrounding communities.
Thank you. And I also have a couple of questions from the report. One is the instructor highlight. I watched those 3 reels. I really enjoyed it. The Bear Club, the cooking, and the Tahitian dance. And I'm looks like those instructors are the ones who's been here for a long time. So I'm wondering, is that so that's not to promote those classes, but on the other side, for some of our low attendance class, can we use that as an outlet to help promote that?
Yes, we're trying to promote, obviously, the ones that have the best attendance to showcase them, but our plan is to showcase multiple. We're just doing them in small bits at a time.
Very good. And the last question is regarding the SWAG team. I was asked by some residents about if Temecula has a police department. I think we don't have police department, I told them. But then they said they saw the police car have a Temecula community service on the side, it looks like a police car. Is that a SWAG vehicle, or are the SWAG sworn-in officers, or they are regular staff?
So they're separate. So SWAG is a nonprofit organization. They are social workers and trained outreach staff. So we contract with them. They provide street-level outreach. We have a team of 4 people 5 days a week, and they go out in the field, they meet with people, and they connect them to resources. They do not drive a marked vehicle like that. They have a separate vehicle. The vehicle, so Temecula doesn't have its own police department, but we're contracted with Riverside Sheriff's Office. So all of our vehicles they're called black and whites, unless they're unmarked, but they're generally black and whites, and they'll say Riverside Sheriff's Office on them. We do have, I'm guessing what you saw were either community service officers who are part of RSO, but they're not sworn officers, and they do more outreach, just things that don't involve any criminal complaints. They can go out in the community for that. Or it might have been the Temecula Community Corps, but what do they drive? I feel like they have a marked vehicle, but it's not black and white. But it's not black and white. Yeah, so there's a volunteer organization called Temecula Community Corps, and they are trained to provide emergency services, support in the event of like a mass casualty event. They also do a lot of community outreach. So it might have been them as well, but that's kind of the different things you may have seen.
Okay, thank you. And my last comment is regarding the Young Men's Conference, and I really like that idea. And also the staff already take into consideration planning for that conference. And another idea I really love is refreshing the programs. Tracy mentioned about some of our programs that give it a new take, and then that'll draw more interest. So thank you for all the work.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Hawks. Yeah, just pedaling back to your guys' reports and the format, I appreciated just sort of the concise approach to it, you know. I mean, as far as what you shared, the most pertinent, relevant information, you know, kind of moving ahead, State of the Union, where we are. It sounds like the grape drop was highly successful. I'm sorry I missed it. I was out of town visiting family for the holiday, but now that I know it aligns with my bedtime, I'll be able to attend. I probably wouldn't make it till the midnight. I don't think I've been up at midnight New Year's now for a few years. So I'll look forward to that. But thank you, Tracy, for all your work on that. And Matt, good to hear about the sports programs. And I know you're getting the spring season going, and it looks like things are robust and and moving well. So appreciate you both checking in with us and sharing those successes. As far as the reports that we received, a few things sort of came up from that for me. One, again, first off, kudos to social media. I know they've visited us here before. In the cultural arts and community relations, I believe it said overall like a sum of 1.5 million connections via social media for the year for 2024. Quite impressive. And then I saw that there was a quick mention of them attending a surf and turf conference. I imagine that's a conference for local governments, and they'll be presenting at that. So that's great. I'm glad you asked about the senior and special needs morning activity, Kathy, because I had that question as well. Following up on that a little bit more, is that just kind of an open gym drop-in? Are the groups separated? I mean, we have seniors and special needs. There could be different needs. Do you have any more information as to what that looks like?
Yeah, Andrew can pipe in on that if you don't mind. Andrew,
I could also
Oh, okay, Matt.
Oh, wonderful, thank you.
That is a drop-in. So generally, special needs groups will bring everyone, and they usually do their own thing, and then for seniors, they can come in and play. But there's generally no organized play for basketball or anything like that.
Right.
But no, they're the same time though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So is it just half court, the court split?
No, generally it's just free for all.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so this is like the 8:30 to 11 block.
Yeah.
How many
Okay.
people do we get coming to that? Do we know? Okay. It's impressive.
Wow, that's great. Well, I'll come by some morning and check it out. Sounds good. I'm essentially a senior now, so I mean, I'm eligible, right? Okay, and then also, I know with the theater, seeing that the holiday productions, The Christmas Carol and Nutcracker appear to be highly successful with our community theater. Saw over 4,000 patrons. I was quite impressed with that. Commissioner DeGrave mentioned the museum. I noticed that number as well, the 53% increase over December of 2023. I did attend the Christmas Around the World event on December 14th. I didn't see any numbers posted for that. I might have missed it. I will say it did seem to be a little more lightly attended than I might expect for something as grand as Christmas Around the World. I was kind of real excited to check it out and you know, kind of celebrate the various cultures that had been a part of Culture Day. And I did get my picture taken with a camel. That was my highlight. And the women's choir was there. And one of the choir directors, one of the high schools, was helping run that. But I just be curious about any follow-up with that event or evaluation moving forward, because I feel like if we're going to do that one, I feel like it could be a little bit more grand. I'm not sure how, but I'll turn it over to our great staff for that. And with that, the other final thing I'll say is that tagging into the Young Men's Conference, I'm excited to hear about that as well. And if you need any help or support, let me know. I'd love to participate in any way that I can assist.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles will be reaching out to the commissioners.
Sure.
Thank you.
Great.
So since several of you have mentioned the Young Men's Career Conference, I'll just take a second and kind of dive into that, just for background for anybody who wasn't on the commission before when we discussed it. So the Young Women's Career Conference actually originated out of a request from Abbott Vascular when they reached out to us and said they were struggling, many years ago, they were struggling to find enough women who were interested in positions there or qualified for positions there, and they were wondering what we could do to kind of help foster more women in what we now call STEM fields. So when the Young Women's Career Conference was developed, it was specifically with an eye towards trying to invite, wherever possible, women who were mentors in fields where women were typically underrepresented. So interestingly, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, a book came out that kind of proposed that there was a parallel path for young men, which is, they were calling careers, the acronym they use is HEAL, H-E-A-L. That was healthcare, education, administration, and literacy. And they were basically saying those are fields where men are underrepresented. And it gets into an entire interesting discussion about certain fields that tend to be lower paying bias towards more women, certain fields that are higher paying tend to bias towards having more men. There's a whole interesting discussion around all of that. But as we build out our first Young Men's Career Conference, one of the things we're looking at doing is really trying to find men who could be, for that format, we have mentors who are at each table. There's one mentor who talks to the group of students who are seated with them. And then we have panelists who sit on the panel. We generally have 4, and they field questions and answer them. So we're looking for mentors and panelists who may bring sort of in one way or another, an unusual or less represented perspective to the table for careers for young men. So that's kind of the philosophy behind it. We're putting it together right now. I really appreciate your interest, Chair Kingsburg. We will definitely be reaching out to you. So thank you. I'm glad everybody's excited about it.
Yeah, we seem to be. I mean, I think we excited to see you guys always innovating, always improving, seeking improvement, and coming up with more opportunities. So thank you. Okay, that takes us to our consent calendar and business part of the meeting. Item A is to approve the minutes from the December 9th, 2024 meeting. And we need a motion and a second, please.
I move.
Moved by Vice Chair Hawks,
Second.
second by Commissioner Castro. Willa, do we have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Castro,
Yes.
Commissioner DeGrave,
Abstain? Is that correct, being that I wasn't
So
at?
technically, because it is a public record and I've attached it to your report, you can vote on it. You did not have to be present during the meeting.
Okay, yes.
Commissioner Sizemore,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hawks,
Aye.
Chairperson Kingsburg.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. The motion is approved.
Okay, thank you, Willa, and thank you, Commission.
Chair Kingsburg, if you wouldn't mind a suggestion prior to moving into the business items, because we have our staff here from sports who so generously agreed to be here for the duration of the meeting so that they could field any questions that might come up in business item 3, if you wouldn't mind if we took that one first, I think that would be great. But you obviously don't have to. That's totally at your discretion.
Well, we're used to moving things around in the agenda to suit our needs, so that's totally understood. No concerns, I'm sure, from the Commission. Any concerns? Okay, we'll go ahead and flip that then. So we have a discussion related to access, request by groups for access to sports facilities. Is there a staff report?
Yes, I'll give you a brief staff
Thank
report
you.
on this. So just for background, over the last several years, we've received, and the Commission has received and heard public comments from a number of groups who are struggling to get time on our sports fields and, I want to say courts, but really court, singular basketball court, although it also applies to tennis and pickleball courts. Some examples are most recently cricket, who came in and gave a presentation, I think at the last meeting. Last year, we also heard from a rugby group. We heard from the badminton group earlier last year, and several of us, I think, have fielded emails from Frisbee golf players. Essentially, regardless of the sport, pause, and then between tennis and pickleball, there's just unending division over who gets court time. Regardless of the sport, it boils down to the same basic issue, which is we have too few facilities for the demand that we have. It's a great problem to have. We have a lot of people in our community who are very active. They really like our facilities. We have very well-maintained sports facilities. And so, just as an example, the recent badminton request, for example, they would really like to use the basketball court at the CRC on, I think, Saturdays. Is that right? Saturdays is also when our Recognized Youth League, TYBL, plays. So it's kind of a two dogs, one bone situation, and generally we prioritize our Recognized Youth League. They were then, badminton was offered space available basis on a Monday night. Monday night is tough for them, which I totally understand. With the rugby group and the cricket group, their needs for field time tend to conflict with soccer and football. At various points, we've also had field hockey. Are we running any field hockey currently? Does anyone know? Rentals, okay. Furthermore, the conversion where the pickleball complex is going now was a soccer field, the pit, which was also available. By putting pickleball there, we've taken the soccer field out of rotation. That was a decision made to kind of satisfy the extreme demand from the pickleball community. So you see what we're dealing with here. We have a number of policies kind of helping guide staff on how we handle these requests. Some of those policies are antiquated. We've brought 2 of our policies back to council last year to be revised and sort of modernized. Those were the 2 probably most important ones. It was governing field allocations and field rentals. So that's sort of the background. And we brought it forward because one other thing when people bring public comments here that becomes kind of confusing, I think, to people bringing public comments who aren't familiar with it, is they're coming in to present their need for space to play cricket or badminton or frisbee golf or whatever, expecting there to be a dialogue with the commission, but because of the Brown Act, you're all prevented from really engaging in a dialogue with them. So at the last meeting, the request was made to agendize the items so that you could all have a free discussion about these topics, see where you landed. If in the end you have any recommendations for us, staff will certainly take those back. And then the next step would be that we would take something to the Parks and Rec Subcommittee. Tomorrow night at the council meeting is when the new council members were sworn in at the last meeting, but tomorrow is when they'll be doing the subcommittee assignments. So currently, the Parks and Rec Subcommittee is Mayor Pro Tem Alexander and Councilmember Schwenk. But as of tomorrow night, that could be different. We'll find out more tomorrow. But that would be the next step, then it would go to the Parks and Rec Subcommittee. They would hear it. Those subcommittee meetings are noticed meetings, so just like this meeting, the agenda goes out in advance. People are welcome to attend and make public comments or submit public comments via email, just as they are for this meeting. So that concludes my staff report, and fortunately we have James and Andrew and Matt here, so if you do have any sports-specific questions, I'm sure they'll be able to provide more information to you than I will.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to go about having this discussion efficiently and democratically and all that. My thought is to sort of start this time. We started with Commissioner Sizemore last time. We'll start down on this end with Commissioner Castro, and if you give each person a chance to share something, and then if anyone else wants to branch off from that or connect to that, they could have a chance to speak on it. And then, of course, we have Andrew and James here to clarify anything further. So with that, and I don't know if we'll obviously come to any conclusions tonight per se. We may, and if someone makes a recommendation or has a specific recommendation at the end or during, then as a commission, we could perhaps, I don't know if we need to make a motion in a second, but we could, if it's going to be a formal recommendation, we could go that route, I imagine, at least to share with them. It's not obviously a binding recommendation, but it is a recommendation that would come from us if we go there. So with that, Commissioner Castro, is there anything you'd like to comment on or have clarified for you?
Commissioner Castro, sorry, before you start, just one other thing you can consider is you can also just ask for more information from staff. So if at the end you kind of feel like now we've refined the questions a little bit, you're also more than welcome to ask us to go out and prepare a formal report on aspect, a specific
No, thank you
aspect
for
of the
mentioning
question.
that, because I probably have more questions than answers at this point. And so to suggest I didn't intend to suggest that we are pressured to make a recommendation tonight in this setting. If it comes down that way, I wanted to leave the window open for that. But as Erica said, it may be more that we just want to get some more things clarified and get more specific about what those things are. So thank you for that. And Commissioner Castro, if you'd like to share anything.
One of my favorite sayings when I was working was that it was actually from General Patton: amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk resources. And this seems to be we're in a position where we have more needs than we have facilities. So it comes down to prioritizing what's going to be done, because we're in a zero-sum resource game. If you take from one, if you're going to give something to somebody, you're going to have to take something away from somebody else. And I think potentially we could have a role in helping the city council prioritize what sports get what access. I think there's a good process in place with what are they called, recognized sports leagues?
Yes, recognized youth leagues.
Recognized youth leagues, where there's already a way, if you get recognized, you're going to get prioritized in getting the field. So there's already a method and process in place to get there. And from having listened to the badminton and the rugby, and it seems their major issue is they can't bring in enough Temecula city residents to get to that level of prioritization. So I'm open to having a discussion on how we can play into prioritizing or representing these marginalized sports, but I really think there's already a process in place to doing that.
Could you guys confirm what Commissioner Castro suggested, the sports that were mentioned previously by Erica, I believe, were cricket, rugby, and badminton were the three I think that we heard from in the last year. Is that the case in each of those sports that perhaps the needed supermajority of them are not Temecula residents? Can you confirm that?
No, so we just, from what I understand from when I take them as a rental group, they just give us the main liaison gives us their address, and so we take that as their address of their location. So if the liaison is from Temecula, then they're a Temecula group. For recognized youth leagues, we do a little bit different. We accept all of their registration, and then we look at every single participant, and then we see who is a non-resident and who is a resident. So
Right, okay, I got
these
you.
groups are Temecula
Okay,
residents.
I may have muddled that a little bit, so the 80% thing applies to the youth leagues.
It applies to the youth.
It does,
I would agree, though, that part of the problem is that they're too small to be recognized youth leagues. Like these groups, and most of these groups have youth and adults playing together. So for recognized youth leagues, they would need at least 200 youth members, of which 80% would have to be residents. So I think, you were saying, like, these sports tend to be just a little bit more marginalized. They're just kind of inherently smaller groups.
right.
Well, also, I remember talking to the roller hockey people, and they were trying to get to where they were recognized, but they only have 40% of their players are from the city of Temecula.
Yeah.
So it kind of puts them at a disadvantage. So these smaller sports, as Erica was saying, have to pull from the region, which then puts them against some of the city regulations.
Okay, let's go down the line as I suggested. Vice Chair Hawks?
Out of those three, we've had them come here to request the badminton, the rugby, and the cricket. Seems to me that the rugby group had the most players. I went out there and looked at their field. They seem to have different age groups, U6, U8, U10, U12, and boys and girls, and all separated. And the other two seems relatively small, and they seem to mix the adult with the youth together. But this one, they seem to have the adult and the youth separate. I don't know the number. Do you have a number? So if out of those three, if anyone, I would say they have the biggest number represented.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but that option to become a recognized youth league is always available to them, and they know that. I rent to them month to month, and so they rent from 4 to 6 is their youth program, like you were saying, and then from 8 to 10 is their adult program. So they do have a lot of members, but I don't think they cross that 200 threshold. But don't quote me on that. But it's always available to them if they would like. But from my understanding with speaking with them, I'm able to give them what space they request. But I think their main concern is a specialized pitch, I guess, is what they want, a specialized field. I'm able to rent to them the turf fields, the artificial turf fields at Somers Bend or Birdsall, but they want a specialized grass field for them to play, because if they fall, which they fall a lot, they get a little bit more hurt on the turf than on the grass. So they prefer grass.
So do we have specialized field available?
We don't have like specialized lined rugby just because it's a niche sport. We do have soccer and football lines and baseball just because they're the more popular sports, but niche sports like cricket and badminton in the gym, we don't have any lines available for that.
So if anything, that they will be in competition with the soccer field?
Yeah, so they're able to make do. They don't have their games with us at Temecula. They go to different locations in Marietta because they're able to provide them more grass fields. But they come and practice with us during the weekday, and they're able to make do without any lines or any specialty requirements. If that makes sense.
And currently, all of our rental fields are turf.
Yes, so because we have all the recognized youth leagues that are participating, and if they're not in participation, right now they're under renovation, so those are the two options that we have for those fields that are not turf. So we keep our turf fields available for rent all year round. And so our main rental facilities are the 2 turf fields at Somers Bend and the 4 at Birdsall.
So my encouragement is maybe encourage those groups to have more players so they can meet the threshold.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always available to them, and I can reach out to them again and make that more clear. And if they do reach that threshold, we'll be able to accommodate them.
So I'd like to just add a little bit. Andrew's spot on right now, but I think a little bit more information that hypothetically, if they even did get to be a recognized league, their pitch are different sizes. They can play on a football field, they can play on a soccer field, but they call them uprights. So in football, you have uprights. In rugby, they have different lengths. And just to kind of let you guys know a little bit, since I've been here long enough, we've been dealing with rugby. They started, incorporated here in Temecula in 2010. So for 15 years, we've been dealing with this organization. Not once have they tried to apply for a recognized status. And that tells you how long it's either a niche or it's just they can't get enough people here in Temecula to play that specific sport. We do give that 80%, that 20% for non-residents to play here, but I think that's a big factor. But hypothetically, even if they did get recognized, it would be a challenge to find a field that we could or we would allow them. I need our Public Works Department to be here to paint the lines every day. Good and bad is Temecula, how they started building their fields, they were multi-use. So Ronald Reagan Sports Park's a prime example. Is in the spring, there's 8 baseball fields there. Baseball gets priority since it's traditional in the spring. And then the fall, soccer gets it. And so soccer, brings in their goals and strategically, places them so they can play during the fall. So if we were gonna put a rugby pitch somewhere, it would have to be a niche place where they would have to play specifically. And if you start cross-lining fields, if you go to Great Oak High School's field, as a prime example, there are lacrosse that are yellow, and we have white for football, and we have blue for soccer. It's very challenging for the players to know what's inbounds and outbounds. So just keep that under consideration where I think you might have asked, like, if everything worked out great, can we find them a spot? We would have to attempt that, but it'd be a due diligence. I know it's far out, but the Uptown Sports Park would be a huge bonus for us to be able to have rugby, cricket, soccer, football, lacrosse, you name it out there, and then we can use our other fields here in Temecula to work that in as well. So it is, like Commissioner Castro said, it's a supply and demand kind of thing right now. We just don't have that at this time to get everyone who wants something in a niche market to do that. So,
James, thank you for bringing up the Uptown Sports Park. Just a little background for Commissioner DeGrave. There's a parcel, if you drive up in Nez, north of Winchester on the left-hand side, there's kind of a big open grassy area. That's flood control, Riverside County flood control property. It's used mainly as a floodplain in the event that there were a significant flooding event in the creek. It's also going to be used to stage some construction infill from a project they have going on in Murrieta Creek. So we had entered into discussions with them about utilizing that area for a sports park because you can't build anything there since it's a floodplain. But what you can do is put sports fields that if there were a flooding event, it's okay. The sports field floods and then it drains and you hose everything down and you wait a little bit until things dry out and then you can play on it again. There's a similar facility in, I believe Lake Forest is doing something very similar. So we looked at some preliminary designs. I think we were looking at between 16 and 18 fields up there potentially, depending on the configuration and your ratio of how many parking spaces to fields, because of course, if you don't have enough parking, everybody is very upset. And if you put in a ton of parking, then you're doing so at the expense of field space. So we had some preliminary designs. It's very exciting. It would alleviate a lot of these issues, but it's probably, I would guess, at least 3 to 5 years down the road.
Yeah, go ahead, Ernie.
I know there's I'm sure you guys have already thought of this, but at the corner of La Serena and Meadows, I don't know the name of that park right there.
Temecula Hills.
It's what?
Temecula Hills?
Is that what it is? That has a huge open grass area that Would they be able to mark that for rugby to play on that?
So
They probably wouldn't have the uprights unless they brought their own, but
you're absolutely right. I think that you could put a pitch there easily. Once again, it's the uprights.
yeah.
For the extra point. I don't play rugby, I don't watch rugby, so I'm very naive in this, what I'm trying to explain to you. But one of the things, if they made their residency or their status, we use that for soccer during the fall.
Oh, you do?
And so how do I say this politely to you guys, because I know we're being videoed, to be concerned that, I think you mentioned it, or Chairperson Kingsburg did, is that you're going to displace someone else.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how many people that you know, our responsibility is to keep everyone from not coming in with bad stuff to you guys or to council, and we try our best at that. But with that said, if you start taking fields away from TVSA that's been here 30 plus years, the baseball community, they will come in droves. And so you guys will have a decision to make, obviously, with that. Now, we try to accommodate as many people as possible. Cricket, I'm not trying to get off subject. Cricket, they reserved a field when we had an opportunity to them once. They loved it. They wanted it again. Unfortunately, with our recognized youth leagues, their season started. We didn't have any availability at the time. He contacted me personally right at the end of November. That's when most of the fall season ends, and I gave him an opportunity to use Temecula Middle School, and he never called me back, and he came to you guys. I think that, I know they've reached out to a couple of council members. I think they want their own exclusively. All these leagues do, all these rental groups do.
Yeah.
It's just a challenge at this time until, granted, unfortunately, it's 3 to 5 years, but having Uptown Sports Park would solve everything.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to kind of touch base on cricket. You guys can come back and answer any questions. We can revert back to rugby. Like I said, we've been dealing with them for 15 years, myself personally. Great group to work with. I think the issue or the concern with them, it's not about field space for practice, as Andrew mentioned. They're looking for grass to play their games at a location. And don't let them fool you, they want lights as well. And that's a premium. We do reserve out Hennegart Park, a very nice, large grass area. No baseball there or anything. And that would be a great opportunity there to let them play there. However, I need to give you guys a little bit of history with rugby. So as I mentioned, they started in 2010. We accommodated them over at Temecula Middle School. They did modified their rules, I guess, to use the uprights, football uprights to do their extra point. Don't quote me. We did that for 2 years. They destroyed the field, a school field that we have a joint use agreement with. So they're school district fields. We have a joint use agreement. And the school district came back and said, no more adult sports on our fields, period. And so with our Public Works Department, they came back to us trying to get some more fields, like Erica was talking about. Upper South is a prime location, because that's why pickleball is there. It's a bowl, we call it. And our Public Works said also, it'd be like me and 30 other guys, my size and bigger, playing tackle football, I call it, on the grass. And you just destroy it. And so we also went that route by saying you cannot play adult sports, soccer, rugby, on natural grass turf just because you destroy it. It takes too long, too much money, too much resources to do the renovation for the next season. I'm not in Public Works, but we collaboratively decided that together. So they took the opportunity to play their practices on turf, as Andrew mentioned, and then they do use Galloway Downs for their games, as well as Alta Marietta, I believe, for their games. So they do play their games out. If we did have an opportunity to give them a pitch, they call it, they would want to bring in tournaments, practice, et cetera, which is fine, but that's a lot of wear and tear on unknown destination if or when we found that. So just keep that under consideration as well. when you're thinking about rugby. We are at least accommodating for the most part. They're looking for grass. That's, I think, their concern. Cricket, I think they're just, I don't know, they're kind of MIA after they spoke to you. And I'm going to speak so Andrew can speak a little bit. With the gymnasium, it is a youth and adult sport that they're trying to do with badminton. We allow it because it's a rental, but if we were, I think you need to focus on, they are coming to you to see a city program be implemented so they get it for free. With about 30, 35 people at a max. We do have the numbers because they do have to check in at the gym. Those numbers have come down a little bit right before we took Saturdays away. We did give an alternative, as Erica mentioned, on Mondays. They said Mondays would not work for them. So we are trying to help them, comply to them. I just want to kind of show you these three individuals, what they're really looking for versus a big pie in the sky is just give me something. So I'll be quiet for now.
I see a couple lights on. Did either of you want to bounce off of what they said? Yes. Commissioner DeGrave? Go ahead.
Sure. I have a few questions. Even though I'm new to the commission, I have gone back and watched countless commission meetings just to really understand what the business of this group is. So I've heard from the cricket group and the rugby group and the badminton group to really hear what are they asking for. I know for me, before I feel like I could be a part of a recommendation or trying to find a solution for these groups, I would love to see a report and just see what are the facilities that are available, how based on the demand. And like you said, I don't play any of these sports, so I'm not an expert in them. And what exactly do they want? Do they want lights? Do they want lines? Do they need specific, just different items that maybe we don't have available and can't make available? So I think that would be really helpful if we'd be able to just get that information from staff. Real quick, one more thing. On the badminton group, I know you mentioned there's only maybe about 35 people right now in the current group. Is there an opportunity through community services to put some kind of, just call for interest from our community to see, are there more people that may be interested in a group like that or being a part of that? I don't know if that's something that's possible.
My recommendation would be to put it on, we have obviously you guys talked about it, a great social media team. But either we could call it a pilot program that you're talking about. One of the concerns that I have, it hasn't been stamped and delivered, that as Erica has mentioned, the community recreation center is going to be going under renovation in October. We are still trying to keep the gym open. However, I do believe there will be some time the gym is down based upon what the designs I've seen. I don't know what that is. I haven't been a part of the meetings, but what's been expressed to me, that's going to be around October. So by the time our youth league stop, I believe March.
Yes.
Then there would be a little bit more opening in a Saturday. I think that's what they were doing, to do a program maybe for a month. Prior to that, getting a hold of the social media team and saying, hey, we're going to have a free family night on Friday or Saturday from noon to 3 and see what kind of clientele we get, and then kind of report back at that time. That's my only recommendation on that.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Yes, I do have several questions. First of all, I just say, being in the position we're in as commissioners, and having attended subcommittee meetings with council, I feel like I can truly say I have seen our staff work so hard to accommodate our residents to meet every type of recreation request that they have. And I see you guys really try hard to fit in as many requests as you have for using our facilities. So thank you for doing that. And thank you to our council for putting the funds aside that we can have as many fields and amenities as we do in our city. A couple of questions I have. sometimes everybody wants their piece of the pie. We've seen that. We've been, the 5 years that I've been here in the commission, we've heard about the Olympic-sized pools and the full-scale aquatics facility, cricket, rugby, badminton. There's a lot of interest for facilities, and I know we can't meet every need. We did have, as part of the QLMP, there is in that timeline, a second gym. And I don't know I can't recall where that is in the timeline for a goal date.
So for quite a while, there was a plan to put a second gym here in Old Town, and for a variety of reasons, over on Pujol. For a variety of reasons, those have not come together. But what we have landed on right now, the tentative plans for the Altair project, which is the project going on just across Pujol up on the escarpment, is to put in a gymnasium there that the city could use. So that's a long way from being done.
Yeah.
Again, we're looking at several years out. If it does come to fruition, it would probably be just a gymnasium with like just enough space for staff to check people in and out. It'd be very, very bare bones. But so that would be the closest thing we have to a plan, I would say, for that.
Have we nailed down any decision on the, was it south side lot, the south end lot?
No, I'm not aware of any movement on that at this point.
Okay. Another thing we often hear when these organizations come to us is, we've got people in French Valley that are on our team. French Valley is not Temecula, that is unincorporated Riverside County. I did have the opportunity to talk with Chuck Washington, or Supervisor Washington, to try to get an understanding of how they handle their facilities for that unincorporated area. And we talked a little bit about Valley-wide Parks and Rec. Do we work with them at all? Are we making sure that they're using their fields for their residents for some of these activities? And do we ever collaborate with them to meet some of these needs?
So I know the director of Valleywide, and we interact when there's an issue, like an issue of overlap, but we haven't really collaborated in terms of, I'm not sure what their field allocation looks like.
Okay.
I really don't know. That's certainly something I could look into.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to know, is there an option that, looks like they have a board of directors, is there an option that we should be telling these groups that come to us, please go to Valleywide, the board of directors for Valleywide, and, make your request to them also.
That's a great idea.
So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to all of you guys for weighing in. Yeah, I mean, I receiving this agenda, I went ahead and got on the website and tried to do a little research and find out what I could. And I made a few notes about that, reservations aren't guaranteed. Obviously, they're based on availability, and preference goes to the youth rec leagues. Space is limited. And then on one page or one section, it suggested, email the sports division or, call the sports division for more information. And that certain fields are available to rent on weekday afternoons and Saturday evenings, of course, based on availability. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and are we talking about Birdsall and Summers Bend?
The soccer fields,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. And I did not see any specifics on fees to rent. Are those available to residents, or do they receive the cost when they call or contact you?
Yeah, since they are directed to contact us, they can go ahead and ask us, and I have all the information that they need.
Okay.
Not to interrupt, but just once they turn in their application, then we can verify if they're a Temecula resident or not. We can give them, it's transparent, we can give them the total cost or how much it will be
Sure.
per hour. But usually we'll be like, this is what a Temecula rate is, this is a non-resident, but it won't be secured till they give us an address that we can verify.
Sure. Okay, yeah, you get the information and you give them essentially a quote or an estimate on what the cost will be. Okay. And then there was also a mention on one of the pages about filling out a facility request form. it sounded like, or it appeared like, that would apply. I saw the following places listed. I saw TES, Temecula Elementary, Temecula Middle, Ronald Reagan Sports Park, Harveston Sports Park or Harveston Park, and Temecula Hills. Did I miss a few? But those were those were listed as available places that people could request facility use. Is that correct?
Upon availability, they can.
Upon
request
availability,
those,
of course.
But those are mainly, those facilities that you mentioned, mainly go out to the recognized youth league. So when there is availability, though, people can apply for those.
Okay.
Yeah, but the turf fields, the soccer turf fields at Birdsall and Somers Bend are all year round.
Right, okay. All right. And then it was interesting to hear you share, and it made some sense, not being a rugby expert myself, but just hearing about, obviously, I think one of the things for us to consider in conjunction with city staff, is that, hey, we want a group that wants to use, a facility, the facility can't be left in a worsened condition than it was when they started it. I mean, that would just be kind of a golden rule of using facilities, right?
Absolutely.
That's something we have to keep in mind. And then my brain started going to, okay, I saw, being that I was a school district employee for 35 years, I technically still am actually a school district employee. So for 38 years, that Temecula Elementary and Temecula Middle are listed, but why aren't there other schools listed? I know you suggested that the district's policy was, hey, we're not going to have adult groups come in. Is that why? And I know there's limitations on availability across schools, and they may not be functional for it, but could you comment on that?
You mind? Yeah. Absolutely. So we have a joint use agreement with the school district for multiple things, one of them being fields.
Right.
Back in the day, we used to have a ton of fields that we could allocate out. At this time, there's a basis program, after-school programs, basically for the elementary. I forget what it's called, but they're starting to do it for middle school after-school programs as well. So based upon their safety concerns, most of the schools, I guess, are closed campus, but they're not closed to the fields. And then when you have participants there playing on the fields, little Johnny likes to go play on the swing set, which is closer. And also they have people knocking on their door to use their restrooms when they're supposed to have a porta potty there. So there's a lot of schools, probably within the past 8 to 10 years, that have been not available to us due to after-school programs. In particular, to your question about Temecula Elementary School and Temecula Middle School, the city is the one that placed the lights on those fields. So regardless if it's a joint use agreement or not, after 4 o'clock, we have the opportunity to reserve those fields out to the public.
Okay.
Hopefully that answered your question.
No, that is helpful, and that's kind of where we left off with this. And again, I recall, and I think you guys may have been here one of those nights where outgoing Commissioner Audi suggested, hey, let's continue to encourage as much as we can, and I know the district's the other party with that, but encourage joint use agreements and expand those if and where we can. And I know, the schools, from when I first started in the schools and started coaching here as a young man, the number of CIF sports that have been added have placed an increased burden on the school's facilities themselves and the number of people within the school that need access to the facility, let alone people who are not associated with the school. So, I just feel like that with what Commissioner DeGrave shared, that it's a good discussion, it's good information, good back and forth. I really appreciate you guys being here. I just feel like that, whatever we can get, and it helps for me to kind of have it in writing in advance, and maybe I went to the right places, maybe I went to the wrong places, but just to have more specific information, on these, and like You know, and again, the other question, part of that would be, is there potential, as Commissioner Castro said, for space within an existing park or field for one of these groups? And I'm sure you guys have, not like you haven't thought of that or looked at that, but if you've deemed that to be not the case, then it would be helpful for us to know, you know, why those things were ruled out.
I could answer that real quick.
Sure.
Based upon Castro's scenario at Temecula Hills. Once again, how the city made fields, they're multi-use. We're kind of moving away from that, which is a good thing. But with that said, if we did put a pitch out there at Temecula Hills, then baseball cannot play out there. So it's solely just going to be one soccer field or one rugby field, and you can't use it for anything else. Another thing, we do have park attendants. However, if you're playing out in the outfield and it's large grass area and you're way out there, mom and dad, or I'll go out there with my son hypothetically and go out there and I'll start throwing the ball around. Let's do a little hitting. And once you hear the crack of the bat, everyone's like, what's going on? Get off our field, because you have to reserve the field, right? So you just have to be careful when it's a multi-use field, trying to do a hybrid of, hey, let's put a pitch out here, but you can still play baseball or soccer on the other field kind of deal. It's exclusively, I guess. So if that answers your question, it's not a, yeah, we can, but it takes away baseball, or if it's soccer on that instance, it's either one or the other.
Okay, right. You're moving away from the multi-use field concept.
Yeah, so like Summers Bend, there's strictly soccer fields.
Right.
There's, Harveston was the
and
first time the
and
city's.
they're being used at a high level for that one.
everything's
Right, it would be inefficient to do it otherwise. You'd be tearing things up or changing things.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, commissioners, do you wish to comment any further on what has been discussed?
I'll kind of summarize what I heard. I think there's an existing process in place that seems to be working very well, and us teaching them how to suck eggs isn't going to really make things better. If we can come up with some way where we can add benefit to the process, then I'm all for that. But I haven't really heard how we can step in and help beyond trying to influence the council's spending of money. I don't think we need to be involved in, beyond seeing how well they're doing, how we can really add to that process.
Anyone else?
Yes, yeah, I would just echo on what Ernie's saying, having I'm starting my 5th year on this commission, and, I've just seen that you're doing a superb job in managing this, and I do feel that the guidelines and the requirements for rentals, it's all out there. It's all easily accessible. Temecula, we are a built-out city, so we can't. We have what we have, and I think you guys are being good stewards in using what it is we have. I just would like to see us make sure that we are using our joint use agreements to the, as much as we can, and I'd like to see if there is any way for us to collaborate with Supervisor Washington for District 3, working with Valley-wide, to just better understand how they're using their facilities, if there's, and if we can start directing these organizations that way for requesting additional facilities. Everybody wants their piece of the pie. I just want to make sure that we're considering all recreation, not just sports. I know we have theater groups out there that contribute to our recreation, entertainment, and tourism in our city, and they'd like to have some space. So, I want to make sure that we're being equitable. So that would be my recommendation, and I don't know if there's any way to get this information out there to these organizations, as far as, do we have a blanket statement that our commission can issue to people when they come and make these requests? Because I do feel bad when they come and make their comments and we're not allowed to say anything to them. That would be my consideration. So thank you.
So based on what I've heard so far, just a couple things I'll throw out there. I think at the request of Commissioner DeGrave, looking for a summary of resources, I think that's something certainly staff can put together, just kind of, it's a reference maybe for you to have that you can, when you do get questions, you sort of know what we've got and what we don't have. And then from Commissioner Sizemore, the request that we collaborate more and see if we can collaborate with Supervisor Washington, District 3 and Valleywide. That's also something we can certainly look into. And in terms of like a blanket statement, we could easily draft something that you could each sort of edit or change as you needed, that we could put together like a basic statement saying, here's where we would refer people for more information, here's what we have, here's what we don't have. That might help when you have groups come in, you could make, or the chair could make a simple statement to that effect. I think we could definitely do that.
Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time and your expertise and all the good hard work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, onward we go. So the next item under business, consent and business is, the final item, I believe, under consent and business, is selection of the chair and vice chair for the calendar year 2025. Do we have an agenda report or direction from you guys in regard to this?
No specific agenda report. Willa can provide any direction, but fundamentally this is at the discretion of the commission for you each to discuss and come to a conclusion on who you would like your next chair and vice chair to be. And I should say you don't have to change. You know, people can stay in the same role for more than one session, but I think most of you have been through this process before. So Willa, is there anything you wanted to add to this?
Just that we need to do it one at a time, first the chair and then the vice chair separately when I take the roll call for each.
Okay. All right, well, as chair for at least a few more minutes, I'm happy to try to facilitate the process with you guys on this. And I was going to suggest we do them separate, so I'm glad to hear that's the case. They are two distinct roles and responsibilities. I would just say that I appreciate the opportunity to have been the chair here in 2024. Now it's 2025, and I'm going to eliminate myself from consideration from the chair role for 2025. Not that anyone was necessarily intending on nominating me for the chair, but in case they were, again, last year I advocated for a rotation in the chair role when possible and feasible, and eliminating consecutive terms, and I'm going to stick to that, for 2025. So before we go into the process, I guess I'll ask if there's any other commissioner who would like to remove themselves from consideration for serving as the commission chair. You don't have to declare, but if you receive the nomination, you could decide, but if you don't wish not to receive a nomination, we will ensure you don't get one, hopefully.
I would not like to be nominated.
Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner Castro. All right. Okay, so with that, we will go ahead and move on. I know last year we kind of discussed a little bit first, and we can have a discussion if people want to discuss, or obviously to move things forward, we would need to make a motion, and then we can discuss from the motion. But I want to facilitate with what you guys are comfortable. I am prepared to make a motion to get discussion going. I guess that's a long way of saying that. I can make a motion to get discussion going if you wish, unless you wish to have a discussion before I make a motion. This is such a comfortable process, right?
Certainly. Ernie, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, Ernie, please. No, you're reaching. You're reaching.
Well, I like the way the city council moves the pro tem position up to the chair position, and I think Dr. Hawks has done a good job in the last year, and I would make a motion that she becomes the chair.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Castro for Dr. Yuan Hawks to become the chair for 2025. We need a second to discuss it.
And you actually don't need to have a discussion. If you get a second, you can just call the motion. You can just call for a vote. Or, I mean, obviously, or there can be discussion. Either one is fine.
I would be happy to second that motion. I know I am new to this commission, but like I've said, I've gone back, I've watched for historical perspective how this commission has operated, and I know that Dr. Hawks, this is her second term on the board. She served for the previous year as vice chair, and I know that this group really values diversity, and she's somebody that exemplifies that. I've been able to witness her passion for the community and everything that this group does, the Community Services District or Commission, and so I would love to second that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner DeGrave. So we have a motion and a second, and I was sort of prepared to say something similar, so I'm going to say it anyway while I have the floor. Yeah, I mean, as you said, I mean, Dr. Hawks received strong support from the City Council when she applied for her second term. She is now in her fourth year on the commission, and she has expressed an interest in serving in this role. And, you know, we serve on this commission at the will of the City Council. And, I mean, if the City Council has the confidence they do in Dr. Hawks, I believe as a commission we should as well. So with that, we have a motion and a second.
Well, does
If there- are
Dr.
there-
Hawks want the position?
Yes, I want to say that first, that I want to thank my fellow commissioners and the new commissioner for your trust and support in me, and I'm gladly take this nomination.
FYI, Commissioner Castro, that's why I asked if anyone wanted to be eliminated from consideration for that clarity, but it's all good, it's all good. So with that, now do we turn it over to Willa for a vote? We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Thank you. I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Castro?
Aye.
Commissioner DeGrave?
Aye.
Commissioner Sizemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Kingsburg?
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So do we move or do we finish out this item?
You can now entertain a motion to nominate vice chair.
Okay, thank you. Still on the same item. Okay. So now we would like to receive a motion to nominate a vice chair. And we'll see if anyone wants to eliminate themselves from that. We'll see how that plays out. That didn't work out so well last time, so we'll give it a try. So would someone like to make a motion for a vice chair for 2025?
I want to clarify that, Commissioner Castro, do you want to eliminate yourself from vice chair as well?
Yes. I would love for Commissioner Sizemore to be the vice chair. I think when Jeff and I came on to the commission, she was the chair, and she was very good at helping us move through various things, and she's been very supportive of the community, and I think she would be a great person to be the vice chair.
All right. Are you moving for Commissioner Sizemore to be the vice chair for 2025?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion then. Do we have a second? I'll second that motion. So we have a motion on the floor for Commissioner Sizemore to serve as vice chair for the calendar year 2025. Back to you, Willa.
Thank you. I will now take a roll call vote. Commissioner Castro?
Yes. Aye.
Commissioner DeGrave?
Aye.
Commissioner Sizemore?
Aye.
Chairperson Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Kingsburg.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. The motion is approved. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. So procedurally, should Commissioner Hawks take the meeting from here?
I will now come down and switch your nameplates.
Yes. Well, thank you again for the support from my fellow commissioners and especially for Commissioner Kingsburg. Now I have to change. Take a little while to get used to. So I want to thank you for your leadership and you have been an exemplary chair and set great examples, and those are big shoes that I'm going to try to follow and fill. So thank you for your service and being a role model and being my mentor. And thank you for the fellow commissioners for your support, and I look forward to a successful 2025 working with Vice Chair Sizemore. And now let's move on to the next agenda item, Director's Report.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I think we've covered a lot of ground in tonight's meeting. So with that, there's not really much more I needed to say in my director's report other than I would like to echo what Dr. Hawks just said in that, Commissioner Kingsburg, you have been a fantastic chair. You really, your dedication, enthusiasm, your consistency in attending events, and the way you've conducted the meetings has been absolutely fantastic. And now, Chair Hawks, I'm sure you will do the same. So I'm very happy to have all of you here. And Kathy, it's really nice to see you back in that vice chair role. So thanks again for your leadership as well. Unless anyone has any further questions, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Now we move on to the Commissioner's Report. And we'll go from Commissioner Castro.
I just wanted to thank Jeff for everything he did for the last year. I'm always amazed at how many events you're able to get to, and seeing you out there during the summer serving meals. You did a great job, and the city really owes you a debt of gratitude. That's all I got.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to Commissioner DeGrave.
Yes, I would just like to share that I'm really thankful and blessed to be a part of this commission. In my own business, I work with public agencies and cities, and it's those community services projects that are the most fun because we are the funner. We're the funner department, right? So they just really are the heartbeat of a community. It's really where residents can see their tax dollars at work, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just really thankful to be here and really look forward to working with staff, and you guys are doing an amazing job, and you can see it's evidenced through participation, through the social media, through just really well-oiled programs here. Thank you.
Now Commissioner Kingsburg.
Thank you, Chair Hawks. Appreciate that. Congratulations to you and Vice Chair Sizemore as well for your roles in 2025. I know you will successfully lead us to a great year. And welcome again to Commissioner DeGrave. We had worked together in our teacher-student roles at Chaparral High. We were both a little bit younger, right? In the early years of the school, I believe you're a first 2000 graduate, right? Boy, those are great years, right? First years of a new school was great. I do look forward to working with you in this capacity as well, and I think you're going to be a great addition to our our commission. Thank you, Willa, for getting out the shared electronic calendar to us in 2024 for 2025. I appreciate that advance. And then thank you, I'm going to say Willa and Tracy. I'm sure Tracy was involved in this somehow, right?
Yes, most of the events on that calendar are for Tracy.
Okay, so thank you guys for this. This is my guide for the year, so nice to have something to start from on that. And so, I'm just looking forward to a great year, looking forward to continuing to be at things and be a part of things and continuing to take on some new things. And in the coming month, I look forward to the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, actually week of service with the drive, the food and toiletry drive. And I also expect to be at I see the museum is going to shift in February to a new photography exhibit that looks very interesting and intriguing, titled I'm a Man. I saw that in the report, so I'm looking forward to getting over and seeing that and learning from those photographs. And I do expect to be at the first Culture Day of 2024 in February 8th, featuring Mongolia. So I look forward to those events and working with everyone, staff. Thank you guys for preparing us, and I think the new format seems to have everyone's approval. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kingsburg. And now Vice Chair Sizemore.
Thank you. Yes, I do want to thank Commissioner, former Chair Kingsburg, for his leadership last year. You worked really hard. Thank you. I want to recognize all that you did, and thank you. Thank you for that. Look forward to working alongside each one of you this year. Welcome to Commissioner DeGrave. Excited to have an opportunity to get to know you. And each one of us has our own passions, and we contribute in our own areas. You know, Ernie has a passion for active transportation, and Jeff has, gosh, you have a lot of passions, Jeff. I appreciate your educational background and your history and your knowledge that you bring to our commission. And I appreciate Commissioner Hawks, your background in science and your passion for advocating for our homeschooling families in our community. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Commissioner DeGrave contributes to our commission and what your passion will be for. So thank you. Thank you to staff for all that you do. This is going to be a great year. I'm getting to that age where I have a thought and then the thought goes. Yeah. I had a question for you, Erica.
Well, you know how to find me if it comes back to you, so
Yeah,
no worries
we're gonna
there.
have to. It's gonna pop into my head at like 1:30 in the morning, and I'm gonna wake up and go. Oh.
Keep a little notebook by your bed. Just jot things down when they pop into your brain. So then
Yeah,
you don't forget
goodness.
them.
Yeah, the question was there. Now it's gone.
I'm right there with you, so don't feel bad.
Thank you. It's a good thing we got some younger representation on this commission.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Sizemore. And now it's my report. I'm going to be brief. So I want to say that the team trip to Temecula on ice was a success. And I want to continue to encourage the staff to come up with the creative ideas to the locations where the team can go and build relationships, and that's an important part for them. And the second item, I went to the High Hopes holiday party. I want to say Cassandra did an amazing job being a leader, and I'm very glad to see the next generations of leaders rising up. And I talked to quite a few attendees and their guardians, and I'm very surprised. I went there to encourage them and bless them, but I walked away being blessed and encouraged. That's such a special group, and I'm glad to see the need there in our community and also that need being met by this program. The feedback was very positive. And lastly, I want to ask the feedback from my fellow commissioners about this new format. I know this is the first time we are trying it. What do you feel, or do we want to try it another month, or we don't like it, or we like it? Any thoughts? I will start from Commissioner Kingsburg.
Well, I mean, there is a bit of an adjustment in that what the presenters are sharing is not, was not, you know, right from the reports. I mean, it's from the reports, but it's not word by word, blow by blow from the reports that we received. But that being said, as I said, I like the fact that it's concise, it's the most relevant things in their world, in their day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month world. So I think we should at minimally continue it for another month or two and maybe get a better feel after, you know, the first quarter of the year. The one thing I did like was the fact that I was able to receive the report in advance. I mean, normally we would see it for the first time at the meeting, so it was a little bit harder for me to keep up with it as it was being gone through. But this time I could go through it, and I did have a few questions ready, which was nice. So I say continue it for another month or two for sure.
Thank you. And Commissioner DeGrave?
I would echo Commissioner Kingsburg's comments on that. I did appreciate having, especially as a new commissioner, having that presentation ahead of time so I could dissect it, see if I had any questions, be prepared, and then coming here today and having access to staff to ask questions, but just getting that filtered report that was very concise and just kind of showed those hard numbers.
Thank you. And Commissioner Castro?
I think it's a great idea. I think I'd rather spend more time going in depth on one topic than have somebody read charts to us with status. I think that can be put out ahead of time.
And Vice Chair Sizemore?
I would echo that I do like having the report in advance. That way we can look through it and be prepared to ask questions. I kind of, I always accuse my husband of not being accepting of change, but I guess I'm going to be the one who's dragging my feet now. Not 100% sold on it, but you can't just do it once and call it done. So I would echo that we should re-examine this perhaps after March or April. Just revisit it just to make sure that we're still okay and that it's working well.
So echoing with my fellow commissioners that I also feel like we need maybe a couple more times. So the first quarter that we will go this way. I do like the fact that we get the report beforehand. But on the other hand, I feel like the two staff were here didn't really get to engage a lot in-depth conversation that intended to be, because our conversation also went to a lot of details from the report instead of from the two areas you two are specialized in. So we can continue to make some changes and make adjustments to those reports. So next month, we will still get the report in advance, and then we can see how that goes.
Yes, absolutely. We'll assume we're going through like March or April unless we're told otherwise, and then feel free to revisit and provide any direction at that point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. And now, finally, I just want to encourage my fellow commissioners to maybe venture out into trying a new event. I know we had, in the past, went to certain events we liked, and I encourage you to continue to go, but at the meantime, try something different. This is the first time I tried the High Hopes event. And it's one thing to read it from the report, but it's totally different when you go there in person and experience and can bring back that feedback. So I encourage each commissioner to try a new thing and report back, and then we can see we have a plethora of programs, and then we can get an in-depth temperature gauge of our community and what our community needs are and what they like, what they want improvements. And another thing is I look at the Ready Commission's meeting record. record, and they mentioned that each commission receive a budget of $5,000. Is that true?
I would have to check into that. Are you aware, Willa? Has that crossed your? I know there is a training budget, but I don't
Okay.
know how much it is, so I would have to look into that. I thought it was 2,500, but I'm not sure, like
Okay.
500 per, but I would have to double check unless Willa, unless you've heard differerently.
I can check the line item budget and let you know.
Thank you.
Okay. That one thing I want to suggest is, I've been asked many times when I talk to the community members is, do you have a business card? A lot of times, I don't have any to hand out. So is that something that we can order for the commissioners?
So we asked the city clerk that last time it came up, and we were told no. But we can certainly revisit that and find out if that's changed. I'm not sure if there's a policy around that or not, but we can definitely find out.
Okay.
Did we do a business card with just the general commission email?
So at this time, we have a blank community services card that we're allowed to hand out to the commissioners, and you can handwrite information on it as you see fit. And I have a bunch of these, so I'm happy to bring these to the next meeting and give everyone a block of them.
Yes. That'll be helpful. Instead of have them to go look, then probably that lead will be lost.
Can I ask a question in that regards? If we have an allotment of money for training, would it be possible to see if we had a desire to attend the California Park and Rec Convention, would that allotment of money perhaps cover not the transportation or how to get there, but the fee for attending?
Yes, depending on what's in the budget, I don't see any reason why registration fees wouldn't be an eligible use of that money. The California Parks and Rec meeting or conference is in Sacramento this year. So it's not, for several years, we've had it in Southern California, and then now they're going back to alternating between, as far as I know, between Sacramento and somewhere in Southern California, usually Long Beach. So it would entail more travel expense this year. But yes, I can definitely check into that.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions, comments? No? Oh, and one further question is, can we ask any future items to be on the agenda at the end of the meeting? I see councils have that, and then so this way we don't have to wait for somebody to come and then we agendalize. If
Yes,
any
definitely.
commissioner.
So any one of the commissioners could bring up an item for a future agenda. You would get just 3 minutes to basically make the case for why you want to bring it. You don't get to have a discussion on it, but you could say, here's the topic I would like to discuss and here's why. And then you would just need a majority vote to put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Or any future meeting. You could say, I would like to agendize something for October if you wanted to. But so the basics are you raise the issue, say why you want it, and then call for a vote. And you would need, or I'm sorry, you would need a second and then call for a vote.
Okay. All right, so.
Did you have a topic you wanted to bring up tonight?
Not tonight. I just
Okay.
want to mention it so that in the
Yes.
future that fellow commissioners, if you have anything you want to discuss, that we can bring up and discuss. All right. Now it's 8:20. And I really, again, I want to thank everybody for your support and welcome Commissioner DeGrave. You just started, you already watched all the past meetings, and you just start running, hit the ground running. And so I appreciate all the dedication from my fellow commissioners, and we all love this city, and we want to serve the city to the best of our knowledge. And that's also my promise to the commission and to our city. And now I will call this meeting adjourned. Happy New Year.